Hello there. So just a really quick video today, mainly because the room that I'm filming this in is currently sitting at 28 degrees. I'm absolutely melting. So yeah, British summer's finally arrived. Anyway, that has absolutely no relevance to what I'm about to talk about, so don't even know why I brought it up. Okay, anyway, sorry. So, cast your mind back to 1981 and you've just bought yourself your first computer. So maybe you're a hobbyist, you're interested in electronics, you want to learn more about computer programming, how computers work. You've saved up and you've bought this thing. Wonderful. You've got bragging rights because you now own your own personal computer, which in 1981 most people didn't, certainly in the UK anyway. So wonderful. So you're thinking, I can learn to program it, I can play games on it, maybe I can write games. So, how do I work it, you're thinking? Well, like any computer back in the 80s, any 8-bit machine, they came with a really comprehensive instruction manual. And the Sinclair range was no exception. The manuals were absolutely superb. Really, really detailed. And in this case, almost bigger than the unit itself. And these are fine and these are great. And if you've got patience, you can teach yourself basic programming using these. But they're not really what you'd call a structured course. So what do you do then? Well, Sinclair had you covered. Oh yes. In 1981, Sinclair brought out this, the ZX81 Learning Lab. So if this is an instruction manual, this is a fully documented course. And that would be the main distinction between these two. So, I can't find a price for this. I don't know how much it sold for in 1981. But I have done a little bit of research and information's a little bit thin on the ground about this. But I can tell you, yes, it was published in 1981. It's a 236-page ring binder. The cover art is absolutely gorgeous. And we'll have a close-up of that in a minute, but it's absolutely beautiful. And it was created by a gentleman named Jim Burns, who's known for his science fiction art with erotic overtones, apparently. And he's still active today. So this was a piece that was specifically commissioned by Sinclair Research just for this. But the guy, Jim Burns, yeah, he's got his own website. He's still active. I highly recommend you take a look at his work, especially if you like science fiction art like this, because his work is absolutely superb. And this is gorgeous. And this is something I'm going to try and scan in and turn into a poster because I absolutely love it. Yeah, the cover art on this is absolutely gorgeous. And it's one of those pictures that the more you look at it, the more things you see. And I would highly recommend checking out Jim Burns' website if you like science fiction art, because his work is fantastic. So, the first thing that attracted me to this was this cover art. It was absolutely incredible, but it does get better, because when you open it up, yes, wow, 8 cassettes of software. Absolutely fantastic. So they supplement the course that is in these pages here. So it's all divided into chapters, and I think there are there are 12 chapters to this. And you will learn different aspects of programming as you go along, and the cassettes, you will load programs into the ZX81. You will modify those programs as you go along and you will learn. So they supplement the learning that's in here. Mine is in fairly nice condition for its age. It's not perfect. It looks like somebody changed their engine oil and then decided to thumb the way through this in places, but never mind. The cassettes are all in nice condition and they do all seem to work as well. I've tried them, I've loaded software into a ZX81 and it does seem fine. So, typical plain Sinclair design. So you've actually got 6 cassettes of software, and at the bottom we've got 2 blank cassettes. So again, there's a little space for you to write your own program in, and the write protect tabs haven't been punched out. So they are the cheapest cassettes I think I've ever handled, but I'm sure they do the job. And you know what, it's what, 37, 38 years later, they're all still working. These are true blank computer cassettes as well, and you know how you can tell? If you look at the bottom of this one, this is fully rewound and you've got your leader tape, and then you would spool on till you get to the magnetic strip. Blank computer cassettes, that is fully rewound, and it immediately starts on the magnetic strip. There is no leader tape on these, and that's what differs computer cassettes from ordinary blank cassettes. And of course the tape, it might be slightly thicker and shorter as well, so you get less wobble. So yeah, so we've got 12 chapters. Now this really is a manual to start you using the ZX81 from scratch. It assumes absolutely nothing. So just angle this a bit better. The first section, the introduction, will go through and explain how to physically set up your computer. It doesn't even assume that you've read the manual. Takes you through the keyword input that Sinclair was so famous for. And then we get into the actual learning chapters themselves. And each chapter is headed by one of these sheets, which is a blown up section of that front cover. And it starts off fairly basic, so using the computer as a calculator, which coincidentally is the first chapter in this as well. It builds you up slowly, but what it will do at the end of each chapter is it will test you. So it'll ask you questions to make sure that you've understood what you've been working through, and then it will give you the answers. You can check yourself. And then it starts getting more complicated. So if we spool on to chapter 2, yeah, this is where we actually start programming now. Then it's going to start asking us to load some of the examples from the cassette. It's going to run through how these work, how we can use sections of code and reuse them for other applications. Kind of handy. And it builds up and it gets more and more complicated as it goes. And it really is a joy just to sit and read. Now, it was written by a guy called Trevor Toms, and I've tried to find a little bit out about the gentleman, and the only thing I can find is I assume he worked for Sinclair Research directly, because he also brought out a book called the Spectrum Pocketbook and another one called the ZX81 Pocketbook. So I presume he was a Sinclair employee and he was possibly their head guy for writing manuals and documentation. I don't know, that's only a guess. But I think he's done a really nice job on this, I really do. So we've got how to load and save, how to check, verify your saves. And now we're getting complicated. We're getting to subroutines, nested subroutines, graphics as well. Again, more programs on the cassettes to give examples of that, which you can look and run through, modify yourself. It really is very, very comprehensive. And it looks cool. Now, these don't seem to come up all the time for sale, but they tend to pop up on eBay every now and then, and they never seem to be massively expensive. So it's an interesting thing to have if you're a collector, I suppose. I can't remember what I paid for this, but it wasn't very much. I think the postage was nearly as much as the item itself. So yeah, I was going to film a couple of examples where I was going to load some of the software into my computer, but the picture quality on my ZX81 at the moment is terrible. I really need to build a composite circuit for it. You just wouldn't have seen it on the video, so I apologise for that, but I assure you all these cassettes do work. So yeah, there's a look at the Learning Lab. It's listed as a 1981 first edition. I don't know if there were any further editions. There probably weren't. Yeah, it's just an interesting little thing. So if anyone actually owned this in the day and worked through it, I'd love to hear from you actually, because I'd be very, very interested in how it was perceived back in the day and how it held up in terms of a teaching tool as well. Be very interested, because I don't know anyone who actually owned one of these back in the day. So yeah, anyway, that's all it was. It was just a very brief look at this. Thank you very, very much for watching. I do appreciate it as always. Have a very pleasant evening, day, whatever time of day it is. Have a good one.